I've gone back and forth for years about whether or not I should tell this story. Not because I'm afraid people won't believe me, but because once you say something like this out loud, it becomes real again. I grew up in Escanaba, born and raised. If you're from the UP, you already know, nighttime out here isn't like anywhere else. It gets quiet, not peaceful quiet, the kind of quiet that feels like you're being listened to. And for most of my life, I thought the stories were just that, stories, until the night something stepped into my headlights. This happened in late October, the kind of cold that seeps through your jacket no matter how thick it is. No snow yet, but winter was close enough that you could smell it in the air. I was driving home from helping a friend close up his hunting cabin. Nothing unusual about that. I'd driven those back roads hundreds of times before. Forests on both sides, no streetlights, no cell service once you get far enough out. I remember noticing how quiet it was. No crickets, no wind in the trees. That should have been my first warning. I rolled the window down a bit just to stay awake. That's when I smelled it. Wet fur, rot, like a dog that had been rolling around in something dead. I remember thinking maybe there's a deer carcass nearby. I didn't stop. A few seconds later, my headlights caught something in the road. Tracks. Not tire tracks, footprints. They crossed from one side of the road to the other. I slowed down enough to get a better look. Big prints, way too big for a wolf, and wrong somehow. The toes were long, too spread out, and they didn't look like they belonged to something that walked on all fours. I should have kept driving. Instead, I pulled over. The woods felt closer once I stepped out of the truck, like they were leaning in. That smell was stronger now. Then I heard it. Breathing. Not fast, not panicked, slow, controlled, like whatever it was. Wasn't surprised I was there. I stood there for a second, holding my flashlight, trying to convince myself it was just nerves. Then my light hit the tree line. Two eyes reflected back, not deer eyes, not bear. They were too high off the ground, and they didn't blink. I froze. I remember whispering, "Hello?" I don't know why I said that. The eyes moved, side to side, like it was studying me. Then I heard footsteps, heavy ones. Each step pressed into the ground like it meant to be heard. I backed toward my truck without turning around. The breathing got closer, and that's when I realized it was standing upright. The flashlight beam caught part of it, a shoulder, covered in dark matted fur, then an arm, long, muscular, ending in something that definitely wasn't a paw. Claws scraped against bark. I was shaking so hard I dropped the flashlight. The sound it made when it hit the ground echoed way too loud. That's when it stepped forward, fully into the light. It was tall, taller than my truck. Its body was built like a man, but its head was all wrong. A canine snout, long teeth, ears laid back against its skull, and its eyes, they weren't wild, they were focused, intelligent. It looked at me the way a person looks at another person. It growled, not loud, but deep enough that I felt it in my chest. Then it smiled, not a snarl, a smile. That's when it took a step toward me. I ran. I don't even remember getting into the truck. I slammed the door and turned the key. Nothing. The engine clicked. I looked up. It was right there. One clawed hand pressed against the hood. The metal dented under its weight. It leaned down and looked through the windshield. I could see my own reflection shaking in its eyes. The engine finally turned over. As I peeled out, I saw it run alongside the truck, not struggling, keeping pace. Then it stopped, stood in the road, watching. I didn't stop driving until I hit town. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. For weeks after, I'd hear howling at night, closer than it should be. Other people started talking. Farmers, hunters, same descriptions, same eyes. I don't tell this story to convince anyone. I tell it because whatever I saw out there wasn't afraid of me, and it knew exactly where I was. If you're driving alone near Escanaba at night and the woods suddenly go quiet, don't stop.
Creeper's Hide.